Hey guys, it's Casey, and today we're going to talk about my November TBR. Let's make some mistakes. So the very first thing I want to do is go ahead and check back in and see how I did on my October TBR. So obviously the month of October is not yet over, so there is still time. I have 2.5 books left on my October TBR. I'm still in the middle of Howl's Moving Castle, which I should finish relatively soon. And then I still have to read Frankenstein, and as one of the required ones, and ideally Final Girls as one of the ones that I said I really wanted to read this month but wasn't a required read of any kind. That's a lot, but I think I can get it done. I remain optimistic. I can definitely finish Howl's Moving Castle and Frankenstein, which will check off my 4 sort of required reads for the month, but Final Girls is a little bit iffy, but I really want to do it, so I remain hopeful that we can finish October's TBR. But anyway, let's talk about what I'm gonna do in November. So every month I give myself 4 challenges that are the books I have to read for that month, which keeps me on track with my Goodreads goal. And the first of those challenges is normally a new release, which I will be reading, but I'm gonna go ahead and talk about that one last actually this month. So let's go ahead and move on to the second challenge, which is a backlist title. So a title that I've had on my shelves for over a year. And for that, I'm gonna go with Everyone's an Alien When You're an Alien Too by Jomny Sun. So this is a cute little graphic novel about this little alien who is just kind of doing things and figuring stuff out. It's a really quick read and it looks adorable. So I've had this book for a while. I know a lot of people were talking about it a couple years ago. I always thought the idea was so cute, and I got it about this time last year, and I just have never gotten around to it. And I think that I need a nice, light, fun, adorable distraction right now because, oh boy. So yeah, this is a story about this little alien who gets sent to Earth and spends a lot of time trying to figure out who he is and what that means. And that's about all I know other than the fact that it's adorable and I'm really looking forward to it. Also, the cover is so cute. It's like a naked hardback, there's not a dust jacket, and it's really cute and I'm excited. So the next challenge I give myself is a poetry collection, short story collection, or classic. And by that I'm going to be reading Disconnected, which is a collection of short stories and poems from a variety of different authors about connection and otherwise is what it says. So this is one I got about a year ago. I think I might have gotten it last Christmas when I was starting to try to get into more poetry, and I didn't know, as far as poetry and short stories go, who I wanted to read from, and rather than buy specific collections of people, I thought maybe I'd get something that had a bunch of different authors in it, and if there was any I really liked, I could go from there. But also know there's drawings in it, and it's kind of a little bit of a mixed media sort of look at how humans connect with each other, especially in the digital age. And I think it sounds really nice and I'm excited to read it. The next challenge I give myself is to read a nonfiction, and for that I'm going to be reading A Field Guide to Getting Lost by Rebecca Solnit. So this is kind of a memoir written by Rebecca Solnit, who is an author and kind of an essayist generally, and this is a kind of a story about her life and kind of about discovery. So I know that she's written a lot of books and essays about feminism and things like that, and so this is just kind of contemplations on her life and just kind of what it means to kind of discover who you are and things like that. I really don't know a huge amount about this, but as you might notice, it's really short, and that kind of gets to the theme of all 3 of these. These are all really short. This one's a little bit bigger, but it's also has few to no words on many of the pages. So I picked a bunch of quick reads this month, and there's a reason for that, and this is where we get into the mistakes that I'm probably going to make. So there's one more challenge that I give myself as a required book for the month. And so for that, it is a new release, so a book that has come out within the last 12 months. And for that one, of course, I'm going to pick The Burning God by R.F. Kuang because I have that pre-ordered and it should arrive in the middle of November. I'm so excited for it. So The Burning God is the 3rd book to the Poppy War series, which is a grimdark fantasy series that takes a look at kind of a retelling of some aspects of Chinese history with a fantastical twist to it, and it really takes a hard look at war and the consequences of that. It's really graphic and really dark, but it is amazing and I love it, and I cannot wait for the finale of it. I read the Poppy War back this summer. I read the Dragon Republic I think last month, so I am so excited to be getting to The Burning God right when it comes out. I can't wait to finish it in time with the release. I'm so excited. But if things go as planned, that is not the only 2020 release I am going to be reading in November, and this gets into what is going to be the rest of my TBR. So some of you who are maybe more active on Goodreads may have noticed that Goodreads announced its sort of like first round of voting for the Goodreads Choice Awards. So the Goodreads Choice Awards are this kind of like award that goes around Goodreads, obviously, where they pick a bunch of really popular books that came out within the last year for a bunch of different categories, and then the community votes on which ones they think should win, and overall there is a Goodreads Choice Award winners and finalists and things like that happen. It always ends up being kind of a popularity contest because people vote for the books that they've read, and so it's really the ones that are the most widely read as opposed to like the best ones, but that's a whole other issue. But I thought it would be really fun to read and react to the finalists and the winners. So, so Goodreads announced the kind of first round of voting. So how they usually do it is that there is a list announced of, I think it's 15 books that they put out for each category. And then everyone kind of votes on that first round, and they can add write-in votes. At the end of the first round of voting, the top 5 write-in votes are kind of added to the pool. And then there's another round of voting, and then after that it is cut down to the top 10 books. And then there's the final round, and the final round runs from November 17th to December 8th. And so on December 8th, I think that is when they announce the winner of the Goodreads Choice Awards. So that means there are 10 books that will be nominated in that final round. So I would like to read all 10 of them and do a video on kind of reacting to the Goodreads Choice Awards and like how I think it went, who I think should have won, and things like that. But I really want to do this video. But that would mean I'd have to read 10 new fantasy books between the 17th of November and the 8th of December. So I don't want to get too much into kind of the logistics of how that's going to work because I'll obviously do that at the beginning of that video, whatever form it ends up coming in. But the good news is I have read some of the books that I imagine are probably going to make it to the finals. So for example, The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin is, in my opinion, more than likely gonna make it to that finalist round, so that cuts it down to 9 books that I have to read. And I think there are a couple that I could reasonably predict will make it. For example, I think The Burning God is probably going to make it because I think The Dragon Republic and The Poppy War also were in the final rounds in their respective years. Also, I imagine that The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, just based on the popularity of V.E. Schwab alone, I haven't read the book, so I have no idea, but just based on V.E. Schwab's popularity, I imagine that that's going to be in the final round. So I'm not saying I'm going to be able to predict the top 10. That's not what I'm saying at all, but I think I have a pretty good idea on some of them, and some of them I've already read. So what I'm saying is I'm going to start the month off with these 3 really short ones, and then anytime in between when I finish those 3 and the 17th, I'm going to spend reading any books that I'm reasonably sure are going to make it into the final round. When the 17th rolls around and I know what the finalists are, my goal is going to be to just kind of churn through all of the finalists, hopefully by December 8th, so that I can have them all read and then film a reaction to finding out what the winners are after I've already kind of formed my opinions. Now, that is not a promise that I will get it done by December 8th because that is a lot of pretty long fantasy books to read in a short period of time. I think I could do it, I just don't know if I will. But regardless, I do think I'm going to try to read them all by like the middle of December, so either way that's going to be a big chunk of mid-November to sort of the beginning of December for me. So I guess what I'm saying is my TBR for this month is the 3 books that I've already talked about. I don't know what order I'm going to get to the Goodreads Choice nominees in because it's going to depend on like library holds and how I can access them and things like that. But my goal is to read all of those nominees by the 8th of December, so that's going to be the majority of my month. Wish me luck. This is like probably a mistake, but I just really want to do it, so I'm going to try. I do want to mention that if the book is in a series, I'm not necessarily going to have to read the entire series to get to that book. For those purposes, I'm just going to say I have to read at least the first book in the series to kind of judge it, because otherwise I would have to read all of the Stormlight Archive to make a decision on Rhythm of War. Instead, I'm just gonna read The Way of Kings. Do I have time for this? No. Do I really want to do it? Yeah, absolutely. So like, we're gonna try. So these are the confirmed reads plus The Burning God, but other than that, it's gonna just be a ton of fantasy, and I won't know for sure which ones until November 17th when those are announced. But I guess that's all I've got for you guys today. If you've read any of the books that I mentioned before, or if you are looking forward to reading any of the books that are currently nominated for the Goodreads Choice Awards, let me know, because I'd love to hear your thoughts on them, especially leading into that video. I'm really excited to see what kind of discussion there is around the books that win or don't win in the fantasy category. Did I even say I was doing the fantasy category? But yeah, I think that's all I've got. If you want to keep up with what I'm reading, good God knows there's gonna be a lot. There's a link to my Goodreads in the description below, but other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.